You're listening to the Casting for Fun podcast, the show that talks about entertainment, sports, music, and inspirational stories for all to enjoy. We're glad you could join us today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, here is your host, Albert Pineda.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Casting for Fun podcast. I am your host, Albert Pineda, coming to you on Wednesday, September the 4th, 2024. Hope everybody had an awesome Labor Day weekend. And we're back with another episode, and we're talking Cobra Kai. So excited to be talking about Cobra Kai Season 6. Really excited to jump into this. My brother Danny joins me. We have a great conversation about this show. I keep geeking out about it. I love it. It's the best. And my kiddos want to give a special shout out. So Liam, Avery, take it away. What do you guys got to say?
Cobra Kai never dies. Cobra Kai never dies.
Yeah, Cobra Kai never dies. Say it.
Cobra Kai never dies.
Cobra Kai never dies. It's peacetime in the valley, though. So here we go. This is season 6, part 1 of Cobra Kai, joined by my brother Danny. And here we go. Let's do it. Welcome back to the show, Danny. Always a pleasure to have you on. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, this is definitely an exciting one to dive into. I've been meaning to ever since I watched the season 6, part 1 of Cobra Kai back in July. So it worked out scheduling wise to do it now. So Cobra Kai, it's definitely a show people should be checking out. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know I'm a huge fan of the show. So
yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So before we dive into everything related to season 6, I wanted to go ahead and just turn the time over to you. If you want to go ahead and just help the listeners get a gauge understanding of where we are in the story. So a recap of season 5 and anything else you wanted to share about the show.
Well, season 5 starts off where season 4 ended. Season 4 ended with Cobra Kai winning the All Valley tournament. The bet that they had going on is if Cobra Kai won, then Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang would have to cease to operate. So Daniel shuts down Miyagi-Do, but he's not content with just letting Silver win it all. Also, Silver got rid of Kreese, so Kreese is now in jail. He framed him for beating up Stingray. So Daniel first, he enlists the help of Chosen to infiltrate Cobra Kai to see what they're up to, but he gets found out pretty easily, and he gets kicked out. Then Daniel, he sees that he might check with Mike Barnes from from Karate Kid Part 3 to see if he might be in line with Silver, and then but he hasn't heard anything, and in order to keep Barnes from saying anything, Silver burns down his factory store, his furniture store. So Daniel's hit kind of rock bottom, and he's just very paranoid, and it affects his marriage and his family life. Amanda, his wife, just takes the kids and leaves. So he eventually comes around, and he goes to ask Johnny for help. So Johnny, in the meantime, while all this is going on, is down in Mexico looking for Miguel, who took off to go find his father. Miguel does find his father, but he's not a good man. So he returns back to the States with Johnny and Johnny's son, Robbie. But those two have their own problems, and there's a lot of tension there until they kind of fight it out. And Johnny reveals that he's going to have a baby with Miguel's mom. So they kind of bond over that, and their tension starts to ease. So Johnny again teams up with Daniel, and they reopen Miyagi-Do. And they go see Kreese in jail to see what Silver's planning. Kreese has had a mole, a Tori, in Cobra Kai the whole time. So he finds out that Silver wants to enter a world martial arts tournament called the Sekai Taikai tournament. And so the day that the Cobra Kai is making their pitch to enter the tournament, Daniel and the rest of Miyagi-Do shows up, and they end up having kind of a mini tournament to see who can qualify for it. And so Miguel of the Hawk, who won the tournament, the World Old Valley tournament last time, fights Cobra Kai's student Kenny, who was being mentored by Robbie at one point, and they Cobra Kai cheats to pay off the referee, and so Kenny wins, and then Tori takes off before she's going to fight Sam from Miyagi-Do, and Sam ends up fighting a girl named Devin, who Johnny had recruited to fight, but she joined Cobra Kai, and Sam just beats her easily, and so both the dojos are invited to participate in the tournament, and then they find out that Stingray has lied about Kreese beating him up, so they convince him to tell the truth, and basically Silver gets arrested and all of the students leave him, finding out the truth about him.
Perfect. Yeah, well said. I mean, again, the Sekai Taikai is definitely a big deal moving forward. It's going to be like the main climax. So we're going to get to that because, again, it's interesting how the breakdown's working for season 6, because we might get the tournament and then we still might get more episodes after that. Because, again, because they're already in Barcelona, Spain, which we'll get to that as well with the announced location. So perfect, well said. So as you mentioned, so Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang have teamed up and they won. They won today. They won the Valley. In fact, the title of the very first episode of season 6 is called Peace in the Valley. So Cobra Kai shut down. Everything seems to be working out good. Kreese escaped from jail, but the U.S. Marshals are looking for him. So it seems like Miyagi-Do's won this whole thing. But now we get to how they're going to coexist and move on with the Sekai Taikai. So what I want to do is actually insert audio clips from the Netflix show and have a conversation about that. So it's going to be similar to how we do our movie reviews. Except we're doing a TV show review. So this will be the first time we're doing a TV show since I've adopted this new format. So let's go ahead and dive into the very first clip. This is actually, I think it's actually kind of funny. It's Dimitri and Hawk presenting their compromises, what they should call their dojo, since there seems to be dispute as to whether or not it should be Eagle Fang or Miyagi-Do or some hybrid combination of the two, which is what they come up with. So let's go ahead and dive into this scene.
Sensei?
We'll start in a minute, guys.
Well, actually, we've got something we want to show you before training.
It's been a long road, but we're finally all on the same side. And as a reward, the toughest test any of us have ever had to face.
The Sekai Taikai is the most prestigious karate tournament in modern martial arts history. For over a century, fighters from across the globe have gathered every 2 years to compete for the title of world's best.
If Elon Valley is March Madness, this is the Olympics, plus the Gladiator Games and the Kumite from Bloodsport all rolled into one.
Yeah. If we win, when we win, the spoils will be life-changing.
But it's gonna take all of our focus and all the wisdom our senseis have to offer.
Yes, which is why we decided to take at least one thing off your plates, coming up with our new dojo name.
Yes! After some spirited brainstorming and ad hoc focus grouping, and also a dojo-wide vote, we have a winner. We give you Miyagi Fang Karate!
We're not using that logo. Mr. Miyagi was the most generous and honorable man I ever knew. I'm not gonna stain his legacy by turning him into some karate vampire.
All right, don't give yourself a hernia. There's gotta be some compromise. How about Eagle Do Fang?
Come on, Johnny. Your compromise is just your dojo name.
Oh, it's got your dough in there.
뭐 주분다. No compromise. Miyagi-Do has honor, tradition. Eagle Fang has big with teeth and no place to train. Miyagi-Do is the only choice.
Says Hoochiguchi, you haven't been here long enough to get a vote.
Been here long enough to fight Silva.
Oh, you fought one guy while I took on 5.
My one guy had a samurai sword.
So did one of my guys. You don't hear me bitching about it.
All right, come on. The two of you fighting isn't gonna.
Yeah, so really cool stuff to start out. It's always funny to me how they insert the humor, but then also use like the honor and tradition as what Miyagi-Do would mean to Daniel, and now of course what it also means to Chosen. But yeah, for those who, I mean, you're listening to a podcast, you don't get to see the audio clip or the visual, just the audio. It's actually a really funny like character cartoon version of Miyagi with fangs. It's actually kind of funny, but yeah, obviously honor and tradition is a really big deal to Daniel and to Chosen. But of course, Johnny really we'll get into another clip that, but again, the Eagle Fang is a really big deal for him as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when he restarted the Cobra Kai dojo, it really wasn't his idea. When it got taken away from him, he started Eagle Fang. That's like his baby. So I definitely can see that he really would want something that represents him to be part of this group that is going to be fighting in the tournament.
Yeah. So we're going to be focusing on this story arc, the honor and tradition of Miyagi-Do and an Eagle Fang, and then trying to get this worked out. But then as we get to the hidden secret past of Mr. Miyagi, which again maybe contentious with some people, some fans I've heard like really like it, some people don't. But we'll get into that a little bit more later. Next, let's go ahead and dive into another clip. This is Daniel and Chosen talking about again like the honor and tradition of Miyagi-Do, because Chosen and Johnny have decided, hey, the only way we can settle this is by fighting. So Daniel's stuck in the middle. He doesn't want to see any more conflict or fight. He probably would just rather Johnny concede. But again, it's actually kind of interesting the conversation they have. In fact, it's even a callback to Karate Kid Part 2 with Chosen's uncle Sato trying to break a log, and we see the exact same like homage to that, which is really cool that the show's like done several homages and really paid close attention to small details like that. So let's go ahead and dive into this clip of Daniel and Chosen discussing it.
Well, that looks painful.
Strengthen body. Strengthen resolve.
Oh, I'd never doubt either. I was just hoping that maybe we could resolve this thing with Johnny another way.
Do not worry, Daniel, son. I will not lose.
I'm not worried you'd lose. Chosen, I'm worried this is going to drive a wedge in our partnership, and the kids are going to be worse off for it. Look, Johnny's always going to be Johnny. I just don't get why you've been so dug in lately. You been drinking again?
No more drink. Dull senses cost me fight against Silva. Yeah!
Is that what this is about? Because you showed mercy and that monster took advantage? That's nothing to be ashamed of.
I'm not ashamed. Showing mercy is not a weakness.
I agree, but still, it left you with 80 stitches in your back. Maybe you could use a break. I mean, take a trip back to Okinawa for a week.
Nothing for me in Okinawa.
What do you mean? Maybe you got your dojo, Kumiko?
No Kumiko. That night, I called Kumiko. Drunk. Leave message. Pour my heart out. No call back.
Oh, Chosen, I'm sorry. There must be some explanation for that.
Explanation is clear. She does not feel same.
Well, I can tell you that fighting Johnny is not going to make it any better.
No. But it will ensure legacy of Miyagi-Do. That is all I have left.
Yeah, so from that scene, we can tell that the legacy of Miyagi-Do is very, very important to Chosen. Like the honor and tradition, and Obviously, that's the way he was taught through his uncle Sato. Then, of course, I mean, if you go back to Karate Kid 2, we learn about all the problems and animosity that existed between Miyagi and Sato, but they were able to reconcile that. So, I mean, I would say all the listeners go back and rewatch season 3 of Cobra Kai to get more of the background between Daniel and Chosen and how they were able to reconcile their differences as well. But we can tell with this clip here that, yes, the honor and tradition of Miyagi-Do is really, really important to Chosen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also like just part of his redemption, like you said, like they were just estranged from Miyagi for so long, and when they reconciled it, Chosen took a while, but eventually he came around. He had just the love that he had for his uncle, really instilled like the lessons that Miyagi-Do was all about, and he obviously does want to preserve it. But I just want to say that Chosen is one of my favorite characters on the show. It's just like how goofy he is, and then when it's time to be serious, how just like awesome he is.
Oh yeah, it's a perfect balance. Like I think there could be other franchises that can't quite get it just right. Like a
Like
good example
Thor.
would probably be the MCU and Thor. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think with Chosen they found the perfect balance on how to do it. And then the thing with Kumiko, I think we're gonna come back to that in the later parts of season 6 because again I think she's too big of a character for her to not come back. And then we'll also in a little bit we're gonna get to what actually happens to Chosen later in this season or these episodes that we've seen. But now let's go ahead and jump into Johnny's perspective. So this is a really fun clip for me to show and discuss with Danny because it features a really funny actor in Stingray. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about Stingray as well. So let's go ahead and jump into Johnny's perspective of this whole situation.
Defeat does not exist in this dojo, does it? Hey! What do we study here? And what is that blade?
What the hell?
Strike hard, no mercy, sir!
I can't hear you.
Stingray?
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy, sir!
The hell is this?
Ariana,
Yes, Sensei.
we do not train to... Class, we have a visitor. I've always wanted to say that.
What the hell's going on, man?
What's going on here is that Colin and Sasha are doing a heck of a job. Michelle, not now. Taylor, tie your shoes. Brayden, your mom never called. A little Bert told me that you and Mr. LaRusso are having some big tiff over a dojo name, so thought I'd just show you the solution.
Are you running a daycare center?
No, the solution is you. Taking back Cobra Kai.
All right, where do all these kids come from?
Oh, yeah. All I had to do was wallpaper West Valley Elementary. Oh, the photo. Yeah, sorry. I pulled that from your Facebook page. Hope you don't mind.
I nearly got myself killed taking down Cobra Kai. Why the hell would I bring it back?
Because it's awesome. Or at least it was when you were in charge. Come on, man. I thought you and I could build up the next gen, I know they don't look like much, but it's a good crop, good prospects. That kid Brayden over there, a.k.a. Snots, Booger. I can't call him that. His mom emailed me and said that Revenge of the Nerds is apparently problematic and it didn't age well.
All right, look. Do what you want. Call it what you want. But I'm out. Got a fight to train for.
Hey, when did Johnny Lawrence become such a... Sorry, swear jar, I know. I owe these kids like $40.
What'd you just call me?
What? Oh, hey, no, I didn't mean it. I kind of did mean it. Because it takes to walk away, it takes a man to stay. And I know that Cobra Kai, its stock is at like an all-time low. But if you're back at the helm, if you're in the throne chair, the students are gonna come, man. I mean, you're like the whole reason I joined the dojo. And I know what you thought of me back then. Probably what most people think of me when they meet me, but you didn't kick me out. You let me stay. And you taught me so much, man. It got to the point where I started to like myself. Could look in the mirror, could put my chest out. I respected myself. I get that sounds corny, right?
No. Maybe a little.
Okay, but that's what you do better than any other sensei around. And we still have a spot for Cobra Kai at the Sekai Taikai. With all due respect to Mr. LaRusso and his smoking hot wife, by the way, good God. But they can't bring anything to the table that you don't already know. You're the sensei, not the student. He's a car lot guy. You're Johnny Lawrence. To win this thing, it's gonna take a badass dojo and a badass sensei. And when you win, you won't have to share it with anybody else. I get why you joined up with them at first. It's a means to an end, yada, yada, yada. I get it. But that's their legacy. Cobra Kai, that's your legacy, man.
So quite a bit to unpack with that scene. It's humorous and it's also pretty intense and well dramatically acted as well, which I love. So first, I mean, it's going to require some editing on my part, which, and if you're listening, you heard it. There's a certain P word that I guess is considered a swear word that Stingray had to put coins in the swear jar. And it just reminds me of that episode from the 3rd season of Arrested Development, where like that certain P word, like I guess it means sweet and sensitive guy, like in English slang, but for American slang, it very much is an insult.
Was that your son?
Yes, Rita. Yeah. Most important person in the world to me.
You really are quite a man, Michael.
Do you really think so?
Oh, yes. You're complete and utter.
I can't believe we had to bleep that. It would have been such a nice moment.
So yeah, it's just funny stuff. But the actor Paul Hauser, I mean, he's really blown up in Hollywood. I mean, first starting out, that the small role for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, playing the Richie kid, right?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
The Juggalo episode of Sweet D Shaping the Youth of America. Really funny episode, one of the best of the whole series, I think. But and then like he's going to be in the Fantastic Four movie. He's done a bunch of other stuff for Disney. The guy's just blowing up, which is pretty cool for him.
Yeah, he's definitely got some talent. Just playing, obviously range, playing just like an adult loser, but also all these other roles that he's in now. One of the things like that kind of struck me in that we'll probably discuss later on some of the other scenes is I wish that they had done more of like the life lesson stuff with the senseis. Because Stinger was talking about how Johnny made him feel good about himself. And coming up later, we'll definitely talk about it. Like, I just kind of wish they had shown a better relationship with him, especially with Tori, which again, we'll talk about when it comes up. But it just seems like they kind of dropped the ball on that, just not like focusing that on more.
Yeah, I agree. It seemed like the early seasons, especially season 1 and season 2, it really delved into like the sensei and student relationship. Especially for between Johnny and Miguel, and then going to season 3 as well. I think in these later seasons, we've gotten more into like the I don't want to say over the top, but it's really like dramatic, like when it's setting up for the Sekai Takai. So again, it's I think the show's still excellent, but I definitely agree with your point, Danny. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. But
it's definitely excellent. Just like another example, just to share, is in season I think it was 4, when Hawk joins up with Miyagi-Do after he gets kicked out of Cobra Kai. It just kind of made no sense. Like, he didn't have any relationship with LaRusso, and he could have just gone back with Johnny, but he didn't, and it just seemed weird to me.
Well, that's an excellent point too, because technically Hawk was the mastermind for the trashing of the Miyagi-Do and stealing Miyagi's medal. So I mean, if Daniel knew that, hey, you're the one who did it, it'd be, I don't know if Daniel's gonna let you back in. But again, it's water under the bridge, I guess, as it were. But I think it is important that Stingray, he showed that emotional side to explain to Johnny, hey, I mean, you changed my life. Cobra Kai changed my life. So kind of get from that point of view, which is kind of what the whole show's been about, not just playing it as that Daniel's for sure the hero, but that Johnny is a hero in his own right too. So it is interesting stuff, I feel. Yeah,
this is definitely, well, I feel like it was Johnny's show from the start. So it should be showing that I think more so than Daniel, it should show Johnny having more of a relationship with the students.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the resolution, which happens at the end of the episode. So Daniel gets some advice from his wife Amanda, and then finally tells Chosen, hey, we just have to back down and let Johnny have his way. But then Johnny, I mean, through his own admissions, decides that that Miyagi-Do is actually the legacy that's worth preserving rather than John Kreese and Cobra Kai. So let's go ahead and dive into that scene.
Daniel, son, you came here to try and change my mind again.
I haven't. I'm here to tell you I've changed mine. I think we have to let Johnny win this one.
You want me to lose fight?
No. I'm saying that the fight isn't necessary. Mr. Miyagi never cared about tournaments or his legacy. He cared about teaching karate the right way. And we can honor that under any name, even Eagle Fang.
But Eagle Fang name is stupid.
It doesn't matter. This is about going to the Sekai Taikai under a unified banner without us having a fight over it. Do you think we could live with that?
I can live.
I should have known, LaRusso. Well, you here to ref, make sure your guy wins? Relax, I'm just busting your balls. Don't worry, I'm not gonna kick your ass either. I concede.
You're backing down?
No, I'm conceding there's a difference. Look, I've thought a lot about it. At the end of the day, Eagle Fang is just another version of Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is John Kreese's legacy. I don't want anything to do with that asshole ever again. Plus, working with you guys has made me a better sensei. It's made my students stronger, our students. So I don't want to just teach offense only anymore. I want to do whatever it takes to help lead Miyagi-Do to victory. Let's make sure it's your sensei's legacy who lives on.
Miyagi-Do's lucky to have you, Johnny.
Oosh.
I'm just personally glad you guys aren't gonna fight.
What do you mean? We're still fighting.
Wait, what? Why?
Why not?
Yeah, it's a really great step
Why
there
not?
too. I always love seeing the bonding when it does happen between Daniel-san and Johnny, and then of course Chosen's there too. But again, it's another hint. They're talking about, yes, the importance of preserving Miyagi-Do legacy, and we're gonna get to that the next clip after that. So again, it was kind of nice to get that resolution, but we're not out of the woods just yet.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see Daniel and Johnny bond. I mean, like, they really should be friends, and all the times they just don't get along.
Yeah,
because they're too hard headed. But I love like the montage after that where they're just kind of fighting. It's just that's why I think where Cobra Kai is at its best, when they're just having like the good feel moments like that.
Absolutely, yeah. So now we're gonna dive into again the main story arc of this season thus far, which is the secret hidden past of Mr. Miyagi, which I know is a contentious part aspect of the show with certain parts of the fandom. Some people are a little divided about it. That's according to some of the stuff I read online. So as we show these clips, I'll be curious to get your take on it too. And then along with the Netflix clips from the show, I do have some YouTube videos that I want to share as well that dives into it a little bit deeper. So let's go ahead and dive into the scene where it looks like it's Chosen's going to move into Miyagi's old house where they do their training, where the Miyagi-Do dojo is, and they discover Miyagi's hidden box of secrets. So let's go ahead and dive into that.
Wish you could see this, Mr. Miyagi. A whole dojo full of kids learning your lessons.
Need new mattress. Tempur-Pedic, very comfy.
Almost finished?
Yeah, still feels weird to box up Mr. Miyagi's stuff, but if anyone's gonna move in, I'm glad it's Chosen.
Cellular signal not good. Did Miyagi-san run fiber optic internet?
It's a little rustic, sure, but it's just temporary till you go back to Okinawa after the tournament, right?
Not going back to Okinawa. Come, help me move bed.
Okay. that?
This belongs to Miyagi-san.
Must be his. He built a place. Mr. Miyagi kept this hidden, so opening it would be an invasion of privacy, right?
Are you kidding? We have to open it. The curiosity might actually kill me.
Sometimes better not to have answer. Right now, anything is still possible. If we open, we face truth.
Guys, this is Mr. Miyagi we're talking about. Possibly the greatest man who ever lived. How could you not want to open his buried treasure? Mr. Miyagi was a boxer?
From China.
There must be some amazing stories behind all of this stuff.
Oh, May 3rd, 1947. Police are searching for the culprit in a violent robbery and assault. Jim Watkins of Lodi was hospitalized after a severe beating and the theft of a valuable necklace. They identified his attacker as Kisuke Miyagi.
Kisuke Miyagi.
Miyagi-san had brother?
Not that I know of.
Look,
Hey, that's Mr. Miyagi, but the name is wrong. And he was born in 1924, not 1918.
My mom says she's 71, but she's really 73. People lie about their age all the time. 691 Hill Street. If Mr. Miyagi did live there, maybe we can go find some answers.
Yeah, lots of interesting stuff there too. So again, we're gonna dive into, as we go into the podcast, a little bit more of some of the items that are there, but just what they've already shown us so far, that there's the passport with the different name, the Chinese money, Chinese coins, and then of course the newspaper headline of apparently Miyagi committing assault because over a stolen necklace of some type. So it's kind of interesting what's going on, I feel. Do you have your initial thoughts as to what you thought when you saw all this stuff from the Miyagi box?
So I have two thoughts. One, I honestly believe that Miyagi did bad things for the right reason. That's the way they're going to play it off. Mm-hmm. My second thought is they added this because Daniel needs an arc to go through this season. I think he's kind of a control freak, and he's had to learn several times to kind of loosen his reins on everything. So I think this is going to be like the ultimate lesson for him to learn that it's not going to always be perfect, that you're going to have to like kind of adjust on the fly.
Oh, well said. Yeah. In fact, I mean, that goes back to the lesson he learns at the end of season 4 when they have their All Valley tournament, and Sam's getting defeated easily because he's insistent to her, you can't use Eagle Fang style. You can only use Miyagi Do. Whereas he's remembering one of the teachings that Miyagi had given him in Karate Kid Part 3, that you're going to grow on your own. You're going to develop your own style of karate. So it's not going to be necessarily just based on what I taught. So you're right. There was that example of Daniel kind of letting go of the reins and letting Sam choose her own path, which was kind of like blending two of the two styles, Miyagi Do and Eagle Fang from Johnny. But it's also interesting that, so I honestly feel that they're adding in the Kensuke Miyagi name to tie it in with the next Karate Kid movie. So at this point, we haven't heard anything from Hilary Swank. I mean, there's been lots of rumors and speculation that she's going to appear in the movie. And for those who don't know, the next Karate Kid actually broke a lot of the canon by using a different name. So in that movie, they specifically call him Kensuke Miyagi, not Naroroshi Miyagi like they do on the show. But it's also interesting. I've gone back and rewatched the movies, and I can't remember Miyagi's first name ever being mentioned in the original trilogy. But again, I
off the top of my head.
yeah. I mean, I rewatched the first movie extensively when I did the podcast earlier this summer. Parts 2 and part 3 I haven't rewatched recently, so I definitely want to try and dive into that. But yeah, it does seem to me that they want to try and incorporate the next Karate Kid into the show. It looks like it, because again, he's clearly called Keisuke Miyagi. And this is also kind of random too. On an episode of Community on NBC, they did like their community college theater production of the Karate Kid. And in that clip, they actually also call him Keisuke Miyagi. And that episode aired, like, I think 3 years before Cobra Kai started.
I'm not bluffing. You can't make an actor more talented by yelling at them. And if you don't stop, your lead character is going to walk.
Lead? You play Danny LaRusso.
The Karate Kid.
The Karate Kid is about Keisuke Miyagi, an immigrant who fought against his own people in World War II while his wife lost a child in an internment camp. Noriyuki Morita was nominated for an Academy Award for his performance. Ralph Macchio showed up.
So I think some people thought that was actually his name. So I think they're going to try and incorporate that to try and tie it into the existing universe of the Cobra Kai, which is kind of cool, but at the same time, they're kind of going through a lot of trouble and effort, I think, to make it work if they want to do that. But it is kind of interesting, I feel.
Yeah, if they can make it work, awesome. If they can't, then they probably should have just dropped the next Karate Kid altogether.
That might have been the easier thing too, because again, like what I've been reading online is that it's been difficult for them to even secure Hilary Swank because she's a much bigger actress now. So maybe it was too much to even get her to come on the show. And to be honest, the next Karate Kid isn't very good.
I've never seen it, so
I did watch it. It's decent, but again, Daniel's mentioned a few times, but there's really no real connection other than Miyagi obviously being there. But it also leads that begs the question that, you know, in the movie, Miyagi's given an award because he served in the military, and they're acknowledging him as a military soldier as Keisuke Miyagi. So to me, it seems like, okay, well, maybe Daniel should have known him as Keisuke Miyagi.
Although many of our families were locked up in internment camps, we Japanese Americans fought valiantly for our country in World War II. We forged a special bond of friendship with our white officers, realizing that all of us believed in the ideals that forged our country. In battles in Italy and France, we became one of the most decorated army units in World War II. Today, the President of the United States honors us with a special unit citation. The citation will be accepted on our behalf by Sergeant Keisuke Miyagi and Mrs. Louisa Pierce, the widow of Lieutenant Jack Pierce. These men were legendary soldiers in a regiment of heroes.
So, but again, I really feel that it was a mistake when they initially made the next Karate Kid movie, that they called him Keisuke and not Naruroshi. But what they do, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with that. But
yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and dive into the next part. So they have the address for the boxing gym because, again, they found boxing gloves. And now it's Daniel, Amanda, and Chosen playing detective and trying to find some answers. So let's go ahead and dive into that next clip.
Old-time PI. Wish I had a fedora.
Oh, I have trench coat.
All we have is an address on a fake ID from like 70 years ago. No one around here is going to know anything.
Internet said this business has been around since the 1940s. If there's anyone alive who might be able to explain all this, it's worth the tank of gas.
Unless Miyagi found buried secrets for a reason.
Would it help if I said we get French dip sandwiches around the corner at Philippe's when we're done?
Oh, that is big help.
Hey, we're looking for the owner? Friendly place.
I go get incest.
You know, I don't think it was such a good idea bringing him along. He's been such a wild card since Kumiko didn't call him back.
Based on my welcoming committee, it's good that we have a wild card.
Hey, excuse me. Listen, I know I have the right address, but we figured if anyone knew anything,
Boy, Daniel-san, we have runner. Let's go.
Why are we chasing? Chosen!
Yeah, this one's my fault.
We just want to talk!
I will cut across Hill Street and up flank.
What? We're running plays now? Slow down!
Make me cop. You can't prove a damn thing.
About what?
Police brutality, man.
Not no meaning of brutality.
All right, Chosen. He's up. We're not the police. Hey. I don't know what you're up to, and we don't care. We just have some questions.
Yeah, right, officers.
Listen, I'm only here because my mentor might have had some connection to your gym. Okay, I know this is a long shot. But have you ever heard any stories about or know the name
Miyagi. Miyagi. You got me good there, guy. Cheap shot to my blind side.
Don't be baby.
Thought you were the IRS. I have a difference of opinion with Uncle Sam on the gym's finances.
I'm still just trying to understand why Mr. Miyagi would be a silent partner in a boxing gym.
Well, he and my grandfather were bros. The way my pop-up used to tell it, this gym wouldn't have been possible without Miyagi.
But why would he use this as a home address? And what's with the different first name?
When people have fake documents, it's usually because they're hiding something. At least that's what I've heard.
Mr. Miyagi had nothing to hide.
Then why'd he flee the country?
Your information is wrong. Miyagi-san flee Okinawa for America.
No, Miyagi definitely flee America. Heard something about a robbery. Beat the needed my pop-pop to help him get lost, if you know what I mean. Well,
This is it. I heard he stole some pricey necklace. Wow.
I never knew this side of him.
look. Your guy messed up. But don't we all sometimes? Pop-Pop said he trusted Miyagi with his life. He didn't throw around that kind of praise. He was a tough old SOB. I wish I had more I could tell you.
Yeah, so there's tons of questions now based on that little clip that we get or from all that information that we just got in. So that Miyagi had fled the country, and then Chosen was, correcting the grandson of the boxer, saying, hey, no, Miyagi flew Okinawa and he came to the United States. But apparently Miyagi was here in the United States and then fled after this incident that occurred. So again, I don't know if you have any theories as to what exactly was going on in this situation.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out where he fled to. It might have to do with the reveal at the very end of the part one of the season. But yeah, like I said earlier, I think he did something wrong, but for the right reason, and we don't know what that is. We'll find out, and hopefully it sticks to landing.
Yeah. I do have my theory as to what I think happened. So we know that through Miyagi's ancestry comes from China. That his great ancestor Shimpo Sensei, fell asleep while fishing in Okinawa, ended up in China, married a Chinese woman, brought back Chinese kids, and then the secret of Miyagi-Do karate. So Miyagi still has ancestors through that woman's side of the family in China, and I theorize that the Mr. Han character played by Jackie Chan is part of the Miyagi-Do lineage from that side of the story. And then we see in his box that he has like Chinese money. So it's possible that he went to China when he fled the United States after that incident, because we do know to make sure to not break continuity, he could not have gone back to Okinawa, because that would have contradicted everything in Karate Kid Part 2. So that's what I think. It's going to be revealed that Miyagi did go to China. And what I've also heard is that this new Karate Kid movie that they're doing with Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan is like not really based entirely off of Cobra Kai, but I'm still holding out hope that somehow Jackie Chan's going to make an appearance to help set up the movie. I think that'd be really awesome and fantastic. So, but yeah, that's my theory, is that Mr. Han, Jackie Chan's character, is tied to the Miyagi family. So Miyagi does have ancestors or family in, part of his family lineage in China.
Yeah, if he does show up, I'll have to give the remake Karate Kid a second chance.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish off the story arc. Well, a few more clips to finish off the arc. So again, this is the very end. So again, we'll also get into it. Well, I'll insert it into the podcast, but we see that Daniel kind of comes to terms with everything that's going on. That Amanda is mentioning to him, hey, I mean, it's one story out of hundreds that Miyagi's still a fantastic, amazing man, despite all this that we don't really know about him. That they also kept secrets from their kids, like they don't tell Sam and Anthony about their fling in Cancun or whatever happened there. but yeah, so then we're gonna get to we're gonna be jumping ahead a lot. So I apologize to the listeners, but we get to the very end where Sam is chosen as the female captain for Miyagi-Do for the Sakai Takai, and then he's putting the headband on her and he notices something interesting. So let's go ahead and dive into this scene.
Dad, what's wrong?
Mr. Miyagi from the Sakai Taikai.
Yeah, so that reveal is pretty big, and it's also caused a little bit of contention and controversy with the fandom as well. So we see that Miyagi, I'm sorry, I apologize. Daniel's putting the headband on Sam as a ceremonial, like crowning her as the captain for the female side of the Miyagi-Do for the Sakai Takai, and it has that Sakai Takai logo on it. And he recognizes it immediately because that same logo is on a bandana that's an old worn out bandana that was in Miyagi's box, right? So he comes to the realization that Miyagi had in fact fought in the Sakai Takai, and not only that, it's stained with blood. So again, this has kind of caused some controversy because I guess some fans see it as a contradictory aspect of the show that Miyagi would have fought in a karate tournament, right?
Yeah, but again, like he always like just keeps growing as a person. So eventually, I don't think he always had the creed that don't fight. I mean, he said he fought all the time as a kid, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's an interesting aspect too. Like, Daniels asked him about that in going back to part 1 when they're training. He said, I mean, did you get in the fights? And Miyagi said, oh, I got in the fights all the time. So I'll insert that clip as well so people can hear that. But
hey, you ever get into fights when you were a kid?
Plenty.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the problem I have, right?
Why? Fighting. Same.
Yeah, but you knew karate.
Someone always know more.
You mean there were times when you were scared to fight?
Always scared. Miyagi hate the fighting.
Yeah, but you like karate.
So?
So karate's fighting. You train to fight.
That's what you think.
No.
Then why train?
So I won't have to fight.
Miyagi have a hope for you.
Yeah, so that goes back to what I was saying a little bit earlier, like where he fled to. I think he probably did fight in the tournament during that time. So obviously, I think that's going to be the way that they find out exactly what happened, because somebody involved with the tournament, we might talk about that a little bit later, one person that I think he did fight, but he's probably going to be the one that tells him like what happened exactly, because he knows all about what happened with Miyagi and why he fled.
Yeah, we're going to dive into that in just a second here, in just a minute. I want to touch on one other point as well. So in the first Karate Kid movie, so when Daniel and Miyagi and Ali, they walk into the gymnasium where they're about to begin, and Daniel's asking Miyagi, hey, what are the rules? And Miyagi says, I don't know. It's first time you, first time me. And then Ali explains extensively the rules. So people are kind of indicating that this is a contradictory thing. Like, hey, Miyagi doesn't know the rules of karate tournament. What's going on? He should know if he did fight in the Sakai Takai. So people say that this is kind of breaking the canon. But an interesting aspect that I learned is that, I don't know if you know the gentleman, Pat E. Johnson, who was the referee in the first movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked about him in my Karate Kid episode that I did earlier this summer with Nathan Wolf. So he was a real life martial artist. He studied under Chuck Norris. He also learned in South Korea the same style of karate that we've been talking about. Apparently, in real life, he created the penalty point system in 1968. According to my research, he actually created that style. So my guess is, karate tournaments before that were pretty violent and they didn't really have that point style. He created it to kind of like discourage excessive combat in tournaments or contact. So to me, it seems that Miyagi's fighting in the Sekai Takai would have maybe been almost like no rules. Whereas if Karate Kid's actually adopting what happened in real life, then in the karate tournaments into the 70s, into the 80s, adopted the point system, which Miyagi would have no knowledge of. So it is interesting that if the creators decide to use that real life aspect to decide, hey, this is how come Miyagi doesn't know the point system in modern tournaments, because he never fought that way.
Yeah, I always just figured like the rules are different, but they could be the same now. But the rules being different, that would explain why there's so much blood on his what is it? The
headband thing, whatever you call it. Yeah. Oh, anyways, okay. So I'm going to jump into a YouTube clip that kind of talks about the theory, and I think it's also going to discuss some of the points that you were just hinting at as well. So let's go ahead and dive into this YouTube clip. It's from a YouTube channel, by the way, called Marvelous Videos. They do some really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and dive into this.
Miyagi's box explained. The box that was found in Mr. Miyagi's room contained boxing gloves, some Chinese coins, some scrolls, a newspaper clipping, a passport, and a bandana. The clipping was from 3rd May 1947 and mentioned how police were searching for the perpetrator of a violent robbery and assault, who was apparently responsible for the beating of Jim Watkins and the theft of a very valuable necklace. Moreover, the news claimed the perp to be a man named Keisuke Miyagi. To Daniel's knowledge, his mentor was named Nariyoshi Miyagi, so he concludes this assailant could have been a brother. However, they find a photo of Mr. Miyagi in the passport, but with a different name and date of birth. Now this is where fans get confused, since Mr. Miyagi is almost never referred to by his name in any of the movies or the series. His tombstone reads Nariyoshi Miyagi, but in the next Karate Kid, his name is revealed to be Keisuke, which could be a variation of Keisuke. He's also referred to as Hideo Miyagi. Now this name issue could very well be a continuity error in the movies, but it could also be much more than that. Daniel and Chosen also decide to check out the address mentioned in the passport, which leads them to an old gym. They meet a shaggy-looking man who reveals that the gym belonged to his grandfather, and Mr. Miyagi was a silent partner. While he doesn't reveal much, he does say that Mr. Miyagi had fled to America at one point in time, which obviously makes everyone question why. It could very well be possible that he was indeed involved with some sort of activity that would have made him want to leave the country. Daniel also found a headband in the box, which was smeared with blood. Coincidentally, it so happened that the headband featured the logo of the Sekai Taikai, a world karate tournament. This begs the question, did Mr. Miyagi ever fight in the tournament? And if he did, why was there blood on the headband? And why was it preserved along with these other trinkets? Is it possible there's a side to Mr. Miyagi that no one knows of? As I said, the 5 episodes end up leaving a lot of unanswered questions, and hopefully the showrunners will address them in the next 2 parts of the final season, who have mentioned in interviews how this supposedly dark past of Mr. Miyagi is something that they're keen to show later.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So that video goes over some of the items that we've already discussed, as well as the blood stains on the bandana for the Sekai Takai. So it is interesting to take all those items into consideration, like we've been doing. That also could lead to more clues and indications as to what Miyagi's past was. But as also like we've discussed, it kind of seems that Miyagi, it's not really breaking character. In fact, like the more like passive, or maybe like like very peaceful, like defense only character that Miyagi would eventually adopt, I think he would adopt later into his adult life and not so much into his childhood, right?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. So yeah, I definitely agree that I think the passive style that he has is definitely something he developed later.
Yeah. Okay, and one more YouTube clip I wanted to show. So this one kind of dives into more of what Danny had mentioned earlier, that is there in fact a connection between Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai, which is kind of interesting. In fact, we haven't touched on it yet, but Kim Sung-young makes his appearance in this the show as a really ancient old man, probably at least 100 years old, right? Not exaggerating. Yeah. So again, this video is going to talk a little bit more about the potential theory of people theorizing that Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai are actually linked to each other, and it could be through Kim Sung-young and Naruroshi Miyagi. So let's go ahead and dive into this scene.
good and no one's all bad. It's just a matter of perspective from the story. And I really think that's what they're setting up with Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi, like Daniel, Johnny, all of the characters, yourself and me, we all have one thing in common, and that is we're all human. We've all done a lot of good in our lives, and we've all done a certain amount of bad as well. And during Mr. Miyagi's younger years, they're definitely painting him in a light that he had a pretty troubled past when he first came to America. And they're definitely not trying to tarnish his legacy and tarnish him as a character. They're just trying to portray him that he's human. And back in the day, I definitely think that Mr. Miyagi had a really reckless past, not just the things that we saw in the box. I definitely think there might even be more to what he did back then. And this Mr. Miyagi is a whole lot different than the Mr. Miyagi that we see in the Karate Kid movies. Not just because of the crimes that he committed, but he entered the Sakai Taikai, the global tournament of karate. And we know this pretty much from the get-go in the first Karate Kid movie. Mr. Miyagi is not a fan of tournaments whatsoever. So I can get why some fans feel that it's out of character for Miyagi to enter and to compete in the Sakai Taikai, but Mr. Miyagi was definitely a different person back then. There's no question about that. But I think Miyagi competing into the Sakai Taikai is really what formed him and shaped him into the Mr. Miyagi that we know and love from the Karate Kid movies. Back in those younger years when he was committing these crimes, Mr. Miyagi was already a karate master. He was taught by his father, so he already knew pretty much everything that he knew from the Karate Kid movies. And he probably thought that he was unstoppable and on top of the world in terms of fighting ability. So he probably figured why not test his luck to earn some real cash and just overall opportunities by entering into the world tournament. And I think once he did and finally did compete, I think Mr. Miyagi got beat pretty bad, and that would certainly explain the blood on his Sakai Taikai captain headband. Not really too sure if Mr. Miyagi was tied to a specific dojo or anything, or if he just entered it solo like Daniel did in '84 for the All Valley tournament, but I strongly believe that Mr. Miyagi, when he actually went to the Sakai Taikai, I think he was really humbled, and he probably took a bad beating that maybe even almost took his life, unfortunately. And that may have been a real eye-opener for him and how he truly made the shift to the wise Master Yoda-esque character that we know and love. And that would really explain why he doesn't really like tournaments that much, because he probably almost died in one. Now that's the most plausible explanation on why I think Mr. Miyagi entered into the Sakai Taikai. Now if I wanted to take this even a step further, one could say that perhaps Master Kim Sun-young was the one who gave Mr. Miyagi this beating in the Sakai Taikai that almost took his life. That's certainly not off the table either, but I'm honestly kind of 50-50 on it. I definitely think it would shrink the universe quite a bit, and it may just be a little bit, I don't know, too convenient, but it would certainly expand the rivalry between Mr. Miyagi and the Cobra Kai style dating all the way back. But like I said, I'm just about 50-50 on Kim Sun-young being the one that Mr. Miyagi fought in the Sakai Taikai. But like I said, I strongly believe in my theory that the Sakai Taikai was really the turning point into Mr. Miyagi's life and how he really started to become the caring, wise, and gentle maintenance man that we've known to love.
Yeah, so he kind of just loosely, the guy from that YouTube channel, which is called Strike First Media, loosely discusses the concept of Miyagi fighting Kim Sun-young in the Takai Sakai back in the past. Do you like that theory? Do you like the fact that there possibly is a connection between Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai?
I do subscribe to that theory that they fought, and that's how they're going to find out exactly what happened. I'm not going as far as saying that they were rivals. They might have been friendly for all we know. Mm-hmm. But if they did fight, I think it changes a lot of Karate Kid Part 3 a lot, significantly. Because when Terry Silver shows up and he says like, "Oh, I'm Master Kim Sun-young's student," that's the guy that Miyagi fought. Yeah. So like that would just kind of expand the whole scene more than it already had.
Excuse me, Mr. Miyagi?
Hey.
My name is Terry Silver. My master is Kim Sun-young of South Korea. My teacher sends his respects. John Kreese of the Cobra Kai dojo was our school's #1 student. Word reached us in Korea only 2 months ago about what happened last year at the tournament. My teacher sends his apologies for John Kreese's dishonorable actions.
Accept apology.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of people were even making the comment that Miyagi would have had a more of a reaction if he heard that name. Like, hey, I know that guy, or like, I have some history with him. But you never know. Maybe like some people also suggest that Asians, particularly like Japanese descent, like Miyagi is, are kind of nonchalant when it comes to things of that nature. So who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting they give up that theory of Miyagi getting severely beaten. It could be the reverse though. It could be that Miyagi's the one who severely hurt somebody. Another
could be ready to survive.
Yeah, exactly. And then another theory that I kind of came up with. So the Sakai Takai apparently that Miyagi competed in, or actually, I'm sorry, not the Sakai Takai, rather that crime of like the necklace and the assault against that gentleman was in 1947, according to that newspaper headlining. So after World War II, and then we know of Miyagi's history that while serving in the army, his wife and unborn child died in an internment camp because no doctors came to help him. So that type of traumatic life experience could change Miyagi to the point where he was violent, potentially almost took someone's life, and then that's where he made the change in his life and moved away from tournaments and fighting and developed the personality that he did. So again, that's just another theory that I have.
Yeah, depending on how it all shakes out, we might need a Miyagi prequel series.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that with Cobra Kai coming to an end, I know that they talked about expanding the Miyagi verse, as they call it, and that would be a really cool show for them to do, I think, or even a movie that go that direction. But so I mean, we've been touching on this quite a bit because again, I think it's the overarching story arc or the major plot point of the season thus far. To close things out, though, I do want to go ahead and insert this clip of Tori at the very end, fighting Sam for the position of the tournament, and we find out that Tori's mom has died and that she's decided to defect from Miyagi-Do. It's a well-crafted scene. So I feel that Tori's story arc has been the most interesting of all the kids, I feel. So that's why I want to insert this clip to close out the podcast. So let's go ahead and do that.
2-1.
Hello?
Buddy, positions. Ready. Fight.
We need to stop the fight.
Fight's over.
Oh, that's not fair. There could have been a point.
What the hell are you doing, man? I'm the ref. I'll decide when the fight's over.
I'll explain, okay? I promise.
don't stop the fight,
I can't
please.
do it right now, not in front of everybody.
I'm fine. Dad, really.
No, Sam, it's not that. It's not that. Come on, please, girls. Come on, off the deck. Let's go.
Don't tell them what to do. I'm their sensei, too.
Well, then end the fight.
Why?
Because my mother died!
Tori, I'm so sorry for your loss, but we can't continue this fight. This is not the time.
Yes, it is! Yes, it is! I have to fight now!
No, Tori. I want to fight too, but this is not right.
Sensei Lawrence, some help here, please.
It's not up to us. If Nichols wants to fight, then she should fight.
Johnny, listen, we'll find another way to appoint the captain.
Find a way? No! No! You do not understand! None of you understand! My mom, she would have wanted this. If I don't fight, I have to do this. I have to do this for her. I have to fight.
Tori, let's just take a second and
No, Robbie, no.
just breathe.
I know what you're feeling, okay? But I also know that you're not in the right headspace to decide.
No, you just don't want me to beat your daughter. No. Because when push comes to shove, you're gonna choose her over me.
No, it's not that, Tori.
Hey, we're not taking sides.
You sure about that?
Johnny.
You want this fight to be over? Fine. It's over.
Tori, where are you going?
I'm done!
Great work, Russo. You just lost one of our best fighters.
Why the hell didn't you back me up?
Because she wanted to fight!
Our mother just died. What's the matter with you?
She was working through it! When my mom died, all I wanted to do was get on the mat for 3 rounds. It would have helped me then and would have helped her now.
We don't teach these kids to fight with anger. That's not the Miyagi-Do way.
Oh, please, I'm so sick of hearing that name. You act so high and mighty like Miyagi was some perfect angel, but he wasn't. I heard about his dirty little box of secrets. Mr. Miyagi was a liar and a thief.
Shit. Johnny, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna coach a tournament with you. For the kids. Not for you. Not for this dojo. For them. But once we win, you and I are done. For good.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I mean, Tori's story arc, I think, has been the most interesting of all the kids, even though all the kids have a great story arc too. In fact, the kids also help the show be as great as it is. But yeah, it's very intense to see, she loses her mom, she goes and fights anyways, and Johnny makes the point to Daniel that, hey, I mean, she was working through it, she was going to try and do her best anyways. In fact, when something traumatic like that happens, I mean, maybe the best thing for them is to get out there and fight, right?
Yeah. Like I said, I was talking about earlier, like, it just seems weird that Johnny didn't like go after her when she walked away. Like, he's the only one that kind of like had her back. But yeah, definitely her story was, out of all the kids, the most fascinating so far. Not particularly well. It's the most fascinating in the season.
Yeah,
and then where things might go. It'll be interesting to see like what exactly going to happen in the tournament.
Oh yeah. So then we get the big reveal that she has in fact reunited with Kreese, and then we saw, from previous seasons that Kreese really had a deep connection with Tori, almost like a father-daughter like that. So Kreese really likes Tori, wants her back on Cobra Kai, and she's there. Was that a big surprise for you, or did you kind of see that coming?
When they talked about like how no one's like been able to get a hold of her, because they replaced her with Hawk on the show, on the team. Kind of got the feeling that she was probably going to show up there because they didn't have any girls and all the training seasons in Korea.
Yeah. So we're not going to touch on it much on this episode of the podcast. I mean, to be honest, I love this so much. Maybe I should do multiple episodes just talking about Cobra Kai. But yeah, so Kreese goes to Korea, reunites with the granddaughter of Kim So-young, Kim Da-yu, I think, if I'm saying her name right. And he's trying to teach her students, and they have their student Kwan, who's going to be their new number one guy, like the lead of the new Cobra Kai. So they're introducing a brand new male fighter that's going to be probably going at it with Robbie. Again, it didn't seem logical that they would also introduce a brand new female character, so it did make sense, like you said, to have Tori be that role, fill in that role. But yeah, so it's going to be very, very interesting because again, the season ends right as the tournament's about to begin, but we have 10 more episodes to go. 5 more in November and then 5 more next year in 2025. So it leads to think that the Sakai Takai is going to take place within these next 5 episodes, but then we still got 5 more to go. So where the show goes from here is anyone's guess, right?
Yeah, I think it might be some flashbacks because the timing of the season just seems weird. Like it starts off in like the beginning of the school year, and I have no idea when the tournament's taking place. I imagine it's probably like later in the school year. So I think there's a lot of time that they skipped over. And it's also possible, like I've heard theories that Silver might have like gotten off and he might have formed his own team to bring there. So like there's a lot there's a lot of places they can go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. That's really interesting. Yeah.
So but I don't think
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't think the tournament's going to end until the third part of season 6.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Okay, so we touched on Miyagi-Do. I'm sorry, the Miyagi history story arc. We touched on Tori. Before we get to theories, there's some theories that I wanted to bring up with you for what could happen in part 2 of.
Just for the record, though, I think if Chosen was still around, I don't think Tori walked away.
Oh, you're right. That's a good point. No, that's absolutely a good point. Yeah. But okay, so before we get to the theories for what could happen in part 2 of season 6, do you want to touch on any of the other story arcs? So Miguel, Robbie, Dimitri, Hawk.
So yeah, like all the main characters have their own like arc that they've started. Some of them are more interesting than the others. For Dimitri and Hawk, it's pretty much their friendship again.
Mm-hmm.
Devin, who made the team, she's there to try to prove herself. Robbie, who struggled with becoming in second in the All Valley tournament the last 2 years. So he has his arc where he desperately wants to prove himself and be the captain of the team. Miguel, who's kind of worried about his future. He wants to go to Stanford, but they can't really afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Robbie's also has his failed mentorship attempt with Kenny that he does. So Kenny eventually comes around and joins Miyagi-Do, but one of the things I found was kind of interesting is that after he joins Miyagi-Do, like they don't really interact. So it makes me think that they might have more of his redemption of his mentorship, of being a mentor, like in the later parts of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess when we get to theories, we'll talk more about that. But
yeah.
Also, like I really love when Johnny finds out that he's having a girl, and he crashes the slumber party for all the girls on the team. He's like, I'm a girl dad now.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, welcome to the club, Johnny.
Yeah, that is a funny scene too. I mean, I probably I might go ahead and insert that clip in here too. So it is kind of funny that again, it's a story arc that's going on with Tori and Sam that they're trying to reconcile their animosity they've had. I mean, because they've been enemies since season 2. So Johnny has a fury. Hey, I mean, because they're too timid with each other. I guess because this is new to them. I need to get them to fight. So he tries to come up with like a slumber party and like reasons to get them to fight. So it's just kind of funny stuff.
You made it. We're in the basement.
Welcome to Miyagi-Do After Dark.
I don't think you should call it that.
Miyagi-Do Nights?
No.
Dark Nights?
Wait, is this a slumber party?
I've never had one before. I didn't know what color nail polish you guys like, so I just got them all.
I figure since you two are friends now, we could have a girls' night.
With you?
Hell yeah, I'm a girl dad now. Brought cookies and tampons and everything. All right, come on inside. Grab a sleeping bag. The Mr. T one's mine.
Sensei, this isn't me complaining, and I know you love a good team, but I'm not sure how a sleepover is gonna help them get their edge back.
Their new friendships cause them to lose the eye of the tiger. They need conflict. I used to hear about Allie's slumber parties. Non-stop drama. Put a bunch of high school girls in the basement, mixing a little gossip. Pretty soon you got something that makes Scarface look like Bambi.
But yeah. So another story arc that I really enjoy or thought was pretty cool was that we get to see Kyler kind of come full circle. So Kyler, who had been a huge antagonist, huge bully to the guys, is now getting bullied himself. So it is kind of interesting to see that come full circle. And then, Brooks, who was also a really mean tormentor, got his butt kicked hardcore by Hawk in season 3. And now he's kind of come around too. Each season of Cobra Kai has that obligatory like fight scene with random people, I think just to give it more excitement, because you can't have just like, 10 episodes of like drama of them talking. We got to throw in some karate. So sometimes some of the karate it's cool and awesome, but sometimes it does feel kind of forced. But that being said, the fight scene between Miguel, Dimitri, Hawk, Kyler, and Brooks fighting all those frat guys from that fraternity is actually kind of funny, I feel.
Oh yeah, I love that. Like again, that's like the feel good moments where like Hawk and Miguel and Eli are all just kind of hanging out. I love that.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so to close out, I want to go ahead and go over some theories with you that I read on Yahoo Entertainment. So the writer was coming up with their suggestions as to what they think might happen in the next 5 episodes. So let me go ahead and go over those with you right now. Okay, number 1, they think that Kenny's going to potentially return to Cobra Kai. Do you like that theory?
I think when I was talking about Silver starting his old team, I kind of thought maybe Kenny might join his team after he felt betrayed, because what happens in the series is it comes down to the 4 people for 2 spots, and Kenny gets poisoned with X-Lax, so he can't really compete, and he was just super mad. So I think that's possibly something that he could do, join up with Silver if he had his own team.
Yeah, and that's what I would think would be the more likely scenario because I think Kreese doesn't care for Kenny at all. Didn't really like him at all. But Silver saw something in Kreese. So I'm sorry, in Kenny. So then when Silver took over Cobra Kai on his own, like he kind of became a mentor to Kenny and was teaching him how to be extra aggressive and to use your size to an advantage to to sneak up on people, like to use every advantage you can. So I think that Kenny would probably side with Silver if he starts his own dojo and if he's allowed to enter into the Sakai Takai. But again, they'll have to resolve the whole legal issues that Silver's got to deal with. I hope they do because I actually like Terry Silver as a villain more than John Kreese. But
remember in Karate Kid Part 3, he pays off the juries. He knows the DAs. I'm sure he can probably buy his way out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very cool. Okay, so theory 2, which goes along with the Kenny situation. Devin's secret will be exposed. So again, as Danny had mentioned, Devin, because she felt she was getting overlooked, she wasn't going to make the cut to get to the Sakai Takai. She's the one that actually puts the laxatives into Kenny's water to give him the runs. And even though Kenny had thought it was Anthony, so Daniel's son who did it, it was actually Devin. So they suspect that Devin's secret's going to come out, that it's going to be revealed that what she did.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't. There's no way they can't address that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next theory. It will be revealed that Kreese killed Tori's mom, or that Tori is on the next part. Tori already suspects that he's responsible, but yet is still willing to join Cobra Kai to be on the side. So I don't know. What do you think is going to happen with the Kreese situation and Tori?
So late in the season, Tori gets good news actually that her mom's doing good and she's getting a lot better. And then she's leaving the appointment. She gets confronted by Kreese and they talk, and he's trying to convince her to come back. And she says, no, I don't want to go back to you because you just left me after she was his mole in season 5.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden she has a blood clot that they didn't catch. So I absolutely believe that Kreese did something to cause that. But I don't think Tori suspects a thing yet.
Yeah, that's what I would most likely imagine, that Kreese is responsible, but that he did it secretly, or possibly even with the help of the granddaughter, Kim Da-eun. She may have connections or something that could make it so that could happen. But yeah, very interesting. Okay, the next Miyagi-Do will lose a Sakai Takai. So I think this article was being written from the point of view that I initially thought, that the tournament's going to happen in these next 5 episodes. But as you pointed out, it's very likely that it could be the final 5 episodes that it happens. But do you think that would be the case? Would Miyagi-Do lose if it doesn't end with the Sakai Takai?
Yeah, if the tournament takes place in the next 5 episodes, it's very possible they could lose. But if it takes place and it's supposed to end at the end of the season, then I don't see how Miyagi-Do doesn't win.
Yeah. The next series, someone from Miyagi-Do is going to get seriously injured in the fight. And the writer of this article suspects that it's probably going to be Sam, the one who gets injured. But it doesn't seem likely if Tori's the one that's fighting her, unless there's another female fighter that we haven't been introduced to. Or maybe it is an accident and she does get hurt. But that's what they were theorizing. Somebody from Miyagi-Do is going to get seriously hurt.
I think that's a possibility. If Sam gets hurt, and that would just leave Devin to step up, and that would bring her arc full circle of trying to prove that she belongs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't think Sam really has much of a story left to tell anyways.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. Then Miyagi-Do's secret box reveals connection to Cobra Kai. We kind of already touched on that. But again, there's a number of different ways they can go with that as well. And then lastly, Terry Silver will return. So again, we kind of also touched on that as well. But yeah, any other last minute theories or anything about season 6 that you wanted to discuss before we wrap up?
Okay, so earlier you said you think Robbie was going to fight in the finals, but I think it's going to be Miguel. Just because, as much as this is Johnny's show, this is also Miguel's show. And he hasn't had much of an arc since he came back from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just him trying to being the world champ is the perfect ending for the show.
Yeah. And then actually, I mean, if somebody from Miyagi-Do gets seriously hurt, maybe it's Robbie. Because I can't imagine Miguel getting seriously hurt again after everything he went through in season 2 into season 3. So it could be, yeah, you're right, that, just as you mentioned, this was Miguel's story. Everything happened because Miguel was getting bullied. It would probably be fitting to end it with him.
And also, I think Robbie's main story is going to be he has 2 parts. It's going to be his fixing his relationship with Tori, and it's going to be his mentorship with Kenny. So
yeah,
I think that's where his focus is going to be. So I think we'll leave the door open for Miguel to step in and be in the finals.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else to add, or are we good to wrap up?
I think we're good.
Oh, okay, yeah, this was so much fun. I love talking about this show. In fact, I probably could have divided it into more. In fact, even did a Cobra Kai podcast and just did every single episode. But yeah, next time when the next 5 of season 6 comes out, I might split it into 2 because there technically is more I want to cover, but we've already gone kind of late, so I didn't want to go any further. But Danny, thank you for joining me. I love geeking out about Cobra Kai. I mean, I absolutely love this show. It does make me sad to see it ending, but what the producers are talking about is they want to see the Miyagi verse, as they call it, continue in some form or another. So again, I really hope that the producers who are separate from Cobra Kai doing the Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio Karate Kid really take into consideration what Cobra Kai has done and really build on the legacy and the story arc that the Cobra Kai franchise has created.
Yeah, it's brought back Karate Kid, and I absolutely love Karate Kid. So yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a blast. I know that there is a ton we didn't even touch upon, like the first part where Miguel and all of them were on a double date. There's really so much we could talk about.
Oh, okay, there absolutely is. Yeah, so you sold me on it. Next time, Danny, there's going to be two episodes talking about the next 5 episodes, because I think we're going to get a lot of information when it comes to the backstory of Miyagi's history. But okay, so thank you all to all the listeners. Huge thank you to Danny. You guys have been listening to the Casting for Fun podcast. We'll catch you soon.